Welcome to the Mindset Architect Podcast, where it's all about creating the life you want, the business you want, and making a real difference. Join us in unlocking the code to true success. And now your host, Tony Caliendo, Master Coach with Rethink Coaching.
Welcome to the Mindset Architect Podcast, episode number 149. I'm Tony Caliendo, author of the book, Less Over More, executive coach here at Rethink Coaching. And as always, I want to welcome you and thank you. Thank you for sharing your time with me today. Time truly is our greatest asset, and the fact that you're willing to share your time with me truly does mean a great deal and comes with it a sense of responsibility that I deliver value to you every time. Today, I want to talk about this concept of less over more, or define a little bit more about less and more. And to get you to think differently, I know there's this misconception sometimes when people hear the title less over more, that they think it's a message about doing less. And that is not true. It couldn't be further from the truth. It's about creating space for the more that actually matters. You know, the life you want doesn't just happen by accident. It happens when you intentionally create room for it. We have to be intentional. This has to be a strategy. And what I want you to do when you think about less over more is that it's a strategy of subtraction to get you to more. It's a strategy of subtraction that will reveal things to you that you maybe weren't planning or you couldn't see because you weren't creating the space that it needed to show up in your life or business. So the number one thing I want to talk about today is less and more aren't opposites. And I'm going to let that sit for a second. Less and more aren't opposites. I think in our minds, we immediately think that they are, right? You think about, we've been taught that less means sacrifice, not having enough, and more means success because you've got more than enough. We have abundance, we have affluence, we have more things. And that's the general concept of those two words in our community and our society today, is that less is sacrifice, more is success. But what if they were partners? And I want you to think about this differently. What if they were just simply partners versus opposites? Less is the process and more is the outcome. Hold on to that thought for a second. Less is the process and more is the outcome. The goal has never been less. The goal has always been about the right more. And we can't make our way to the right more until we identify the wrong more, and that is the less. We are removing the wrong more from what we're doing. Think about in nature, and I talked about this on the last podcast, we can learn so many lessons from nature. When you prune a tree or a plant, right, it's not about making it smaller. It's about making it healthier. It's about allowing it to grow stronger. It's about helping it be bigger and better for its future in the terms of it could be health, it could be size, it could be the number of flowers it produces, it could be any number of things, yet pruning isn't about making things smaller. Eliminating and subtraction of the wrong more is not about achieving less or settling. It's just not. So what if the very thing that you're afraid to let go of is the thing preventing you from what you're hoping for? I see this happen often as a coach, and I've shared this with you before, and I'm going to share it again. Before we launched Rethink Coaching, I was with a large national coaching company, which was phenomenal, and I have nothing but amazing things to say about them. And one of their beliefs was you carried a lot of clients. And I get it. Time on task is really important as a coach. You can get trained and certified and all these things, but time on task really helps you become a stronger and better coach. And I know that after 16 years of coaching. Yet what I entered into my venture as an entrepreneur, our own coaching company, was that I had to maintain that same level of client load, which was around 40, 45 at any given time. And I was really struggling because anything less than that meant failure. Anything less than that meant I was going to have to sacrifice. Anything less than that meant I was less than as a coach. I was carrying in old stories with me into my future. And that couldn't have been a bigger misconception, because what ended up happening is I had less clients and achieved more. I attracted the right clients into my world. I attracted opportunities that I would have never had space or time for had I been carrying a client schedule or roster of over 40 people. And so less and more aren't opposites. And I learned that through this process of launching my own coaching company. They truly are partners. When I embraced the fact that less wasn't sacrifice, less clients didn't mean I wasn't successful, and the only way to get to success was by having more clients, it created the space for things that I didn't ever even imagine happening in my business life, my personal life, and certainly within the coaching company. The number two thing to think about when we're talking about the space between less and more is everything you say yes to is going to occupy space. It just is, right? You say yes to something, it's taking up space. How can it not? And what we tend to do is take on commitments, right? Every commitment takes time. Every obligation takes energy. Every relationship we form requires attention. Every distraction consumes focus. We have limited capacity. I don't know why we don't think about that often as entrepreneurs, leaders, executives, that we have capacity. And we don't honor that because we think we need to do more to achieve certain levels of success. Yet, when we say yes to something that is not in alignment with the right more of what we should be doing, our life becomes filled with wrong things. The right things have nowhere to enter or to grow. You don't find the right more, you make room for it. That's why I go back to that example with Rethink Coaching. Yeah, I was freaked out for the first 90 days because I had the smallest client roster I'd had really since I first became a coach. And I was focused on just filling. And I filled it with a lot of the wrong more clients that really weren't a match, but they were willing to sign up for coaching. And when I embraced that less and more were partners, amazing things showed up. Opportunities to speak to organizations, opportunities to participate in group coaching programs, opportunities to be in rooms that I never thought I would be in showed up. And they simply showed up because I made room for it. I made that decision that I wasn't just going to accept things and say yes to them, commit to things, make them an obligation, and fill up the space for the sake of filling up the space. Leave the space for the right more to show up. Number three is the wrong more is often good. It's not bad. I want you to think about this. There's a distinction, right? The wrong more is not always bad. It might just be good. And good work, good works, yet it creates a ceiling. It develops a ceiling. The wrong more can actually be bringing you some results. So it's not always bad. So when we're looking at figuring out, hey, what's not the right more in my life? What's the less? What do I need to eliminate? What's the subtraction piece? Sometimes it might surprise you that we're going to eliminate something that's just good to create the space for something that is great. That is the huge awareness that I want to create, is that success isn't always just defined or won through just accumulation and doing. It's about elimination of things that are the wrong more, even if they're okay or good. We're after great. The wrong more will look productive sometimes. We could be doing something that makes us feel busy. We can be doing something that feels like we're taking action. I'm not sitting here at my desk. I'm out in the world doing stuff. It looks productive. It looks responsible. It looks like it should be, or it appears to others that it's successful, helpful, and it's impressive. So sometimes that's why it's really hard for us to identify what the wrong more is when it's playing in the lane of it's still good. And this is where I would recommend hiring a coach to have this conversation with to help you, because we want to get to the point where we get to choose between good and great. We want to get to the point that we've removed just the good or the bad, and we've allowed the space for greatness to show up. I think about it and I think, good doesn't always produce things. A lot of times it just maintains. So even though good is producing, it may be just maintaining. And most of us have a goal to improve, whether it's financially, whether it's market share, whether it's in influence or space that you hold. And good doesn't always produce. It may just be a maintainer, which could be a sign that it's something we need to eliminate. So sometimes it's difficult to recognize. And I know when I work with clients that I'm asking them for abundant trust trusting me, trusting this process of identifying the wrong more, even though it appears to be good, is letting that go because there's this false sense of security that it's better than nothing. And that is what at times tends to clog the lane up and prevent us from receiving what truly would be in our best interest. You want to be fulfilled, not just full. And I think about that. So I think about that in my personal world right now. I know that not everybody has the privilege of writing a book. Not everybody has the privilege of having a publishing company and an agent and gets this incredible opportunity that I have been given. I know that the book would not have had space to show up in my world had I not done some of this elimination of good. The wrong more in my life was still good. And to some people, they would envy to have that in their world. Yet for me, it was clogging space. And I would say over the last 3 to 5 years, I've really become intentional about subtraction and elimination. And I know for certain that doing that allowed the book to be created. It's been in my mind, and I've been asked a lot after I get done doing a keynote or after I present or when I meet people if I have a book. And I've resisted it because I didn't have the space for it. And then once I created the space and let go of the wrong more, even though some of it was good, some group coaching programs were good, I was getting income through them, yet I let them go. As soon as I did that, it was just one of these moments of synchronicity. It's a God moment for me where things just started showing up and I couldn't say no to it because it was so right. It was such a shining example of the right more made its way into my world, from finding my agent to the publishing house I've gone with, to the process I have been through, has all been truly amazing. And things have shown up that I didn't know were going to show up. So the wrong more sometimes is hard to recognize because it can appear as a good action or activity or strategy. And we have to trust that we're going to eliminate some of those good to create the space for great. That is a concept that might take you a minute to wrap your brain around. And again, you might want to hire a coach to work through that to make sure you're eliminating the right things and that you're creating the space for the right to show up. Now, I'm going to say this. I had to work. Like, it wasn't that this book just dropped in my lap and somebody wrote it for me and we had all these resources and tools. The book is written from me, not AI, not from anybody, not a ghostwriter, not anybody else. It was written by me. And that took a tremendous amount of effort. Yet, when you're working out of the space of the right more, it was so much fun. It was joy. It was fun. It was full of great energy. It was an incredible experience. So I knew that I was in this lane of the right more when it came to write the book. Number 4 is that space is where clarity lives. All right. So we sometimes try to solve confusion or uncertainty by adding things to do. I'm going to go learn something on a podcast. I'm going to implement this strategy that somebody else is doing or that I've read about. I'm going to set a different goal, a bigger goal. I'm going to ask for yet another opinion. And sometimes clarity does not come from adding. All right. I want you to think about, we're carrying around this bag with all of these things in it, and the bag is just full as can be. And you're thinking that the fix is to add something else to the bag. If you don't have room for it in the bag, it's really hard to add something else. So clarity doesn't always come from adding because you don't have the space for it. It comes from removing. This is part of the book that I think I'm most proud of, is being a coach who is coaching to the belief that you can get to more through less, that you can get to more through subtraction by removing things. So take a moment to look at what you're currently doing and ask, where can I remove? This may require you to spend some quiet time, which a lot of us as entrepreneurs do not want to do. We just want to go, continue the path of more. The more is okay. The more has been good. And we don't want silence. We don't want reflection time. We don't want time to journal or to look at our business from 40,000 feet versus looking at it from 5,000 and working in it. This is really important that instead of adding, we first look at what could I remove? And the only way you're going to be able to do that in a strategic way and one that serves you is by doing it through some prayer, maybe some silence, some reflection, working with a coach to make sure that we're removing the right, wrong, more. That's really, really important. When we just want to add things, I look at it as noise. And I've done this myself. It's like rather than face what's not working or face the fact that I've been stuck at the same income level for 3 years in a row, I want to just add more because it creates noise and a distraction. And to me, at that point in my career, it was comforting because it was distracting me from what was really happening. So noise will compete for your attention. Space invites your awareness. So it's really important to create the space of silence, thinking time, whatever you want to call it, on the daily, weekly, monthly, that allows you to really assess what you could be subtracting and creating a void in a space for the right more. Number 5 is that space creates capacity for your right more. Okay. Again, the book is an example of the right more. 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I did not have the space for it. I didn't. Yet as soon as I cleared some things out, the space or the how showed up. I think we've all heard the saying before, don't worry about the how, it shows up on a need to know basis. And I really connect this to the right more. I really connect to the how has a way of presenting itself when you allow it to, when you carve out the space for it, when you do some subtraction and you look at making the room for the right more to show up. So if you think of life like a house, right? You can't keep bringing in furniture if every room is already full. Eventually, you have to decide what no longer belongs. The same is true for your calendar. The same is true for your strategies. The same is true for your training. All of this is very true. Your mind, your relationships, your goals, your right more simply needs room. So if I've got a house full of furniture and I want to add 3 more items, there's no room for it. And if I buy it, it becomes crammed and noisy and a distraction. And it might actually not like what I bought because it doesn't have a place for in my world at that time. So we have to remove. Some of the things that you might want to consider removing immediately from a subtraction perspective is comparison. If you remove comparison and just focus on what you're doing and your belief about, hey, I'm eliminating these activities. I know this person does them. I am removing them. It removes that comparison game and it will create confidence. When you're very congruent with your decision to remove the more, even if the more is good, to remove that item, it will actually create comparison. If we remove busyness, that thing that distracts and fills your time and doesn't allow for the right more to show up, it will create presence. You will be very present in everything you do, your business and your life, relationships, whatever it is. When you remove fear, it creates courage. When you remove unnecessary commitments, it creates freedom. These are really things that are important, right? Removing comparison creates confidence. Removing busyness creates presence. Removing fear creates courage. Removing unnecessary commitments creates freedom. This is the gift of less over more. By doing these things, for me, the big thing is removing fear helped create courage. When I initially did this, I was a little freaked out. And I talked to my coach about it. I said, hey, this is what I'm thinking about doing. I know I've had this group coaching program for years and it's very successful and it's making an impact. Yet I'm going to end it because I feel like it's no longer the right more for me. It's no longer the right activity. That was a financial hit and it was eliminating opportunity for people. Yet I was very congruent, right? Because I compared that to just being busy. It was good. I could do it with my eyes closed. It was fairly easy for me. Yes, it was impactful. However, it was just good. It wasn't great. And so when I took that leap of faith, I had to really believe in what I was deciding to do. And I worked with my coach on it and I worked through it. And then I made the decision. And immediately, I would say within 3 to 6 weeks, opportunities started to show up. Would they have shown up had I not removed those? I don't think they would have. Or they might have, and I would have said no, or I wouldn't have even considered them because in my mind, I knew I just didn't have the space for it. So think about creating space for the right more to show up. And that can only happen through subtraction. Don't be a house full of furniture trying to add more and stacking and every empty space having something. because that creates noise. I look at the bookcase behind me and it's full, but it's not jam-packed. And I also know that at some point, some of the books I have, as I buy more books or invest in more books for myself, I'm going to give away some of the books that I have because it's this give and take. I've got to create the space for other things to show up. Number 6 thing is I want you to take a challenge this week. I want you to create one intentional space. So what I'm asking you to do is to actually don't add anything. Think about what you could remove. What is one thing that you could remove that would start to create some space for you to receive bigger things, to receive the right more? What commitments no longer belong? Are you part of a club that meets once a week? Are you part of an organization that's requiring more time and it's not congruent with you anymore, but you just keep showing up? What habit are you doing that isn't serving you? Is it scrolling social media? Is it, texting incessantly? What habit is not serving you? It could be poor eating habit. It could be drinking. It can be a lot of different things. What expectation am I carrying that really I shouldn't anymore, and I need to let it go to create the space for something even bigger? What distraction keeps stealing my attention? And what relationship with more needs to change? So think about it. What more in your life right now is just good? What strategy right now is just good? And I don't know about you, good's fine. I like great. And that's not a judgy thing. It's just if I'm going to put time and energy into something, I want it to be great. And I will tell you, in doing so, in removing those things, in choosing to let go of good to create the space for great, my life is very full. The things I do on the regular excite me, give me energy. I don't dread anything in my schedule anymore. There were times that something was producing, yet I dreaded doing it. And I will tell you, letting that go has created a life that I have, this is through intention, and a business that I have that leans into great the majority of the time. And eventually some of that great needed to go away as well. It's ever evolving. You're going to continually looking at it. So we spend much of our lives trying to create more. We just do. This week, I want you to create space, because sometimes the greatest gift that you can give yourself is not another opportunity. It's not. It's room to fully experience the one you've already been given. This is so huge. Letting some things go allows you to experience a life that you maybe have been craving for a while, just weren't sure how to get there because you've been doing a lot of the wrong more. When I wrote Less Over More, I wasn't trying to convince people. I was not trying to convince people to lower their ambitions or to settle for less. That is absolutely not it. I wanted to challenge the belief that many of us have carried for years, that the belief that more is always better, that, our definition, and this is one of my goals, is to change how the world defines success, is that we don't have to define success simply through more. What I discovered both in my life and through the years of coaching is that the greatest transformations don't begin by adding something new. They begin by creating space. That is really important. I'm going to say that again, that the greatest transformations don't begin by adding something new. They begin by creating space, because less isn't the destination. It's the bridge that leads you to the right more. I really hope that you find this episode helpful and you understand a little bit more about the concept of the book Less Over More. You can pre-order a copy right now on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Target, wherever you buy books. Go make it easy on yourself. Pre-order so that you're one of the first to get the book when it is made public on August 25th, 26. I would appreciate the support, but really more importantly, my goal is to get the message into as many hands as possible. And I have a lot of people who've bought one for themselves and one for somebody really important in their life so they can read it together and work on it together to get the most out of it. So I hope you get a lot out of today's episode. I hope you embrace the fact that less and more aren't opposites, that they can actually be partners. All right, team, we'll talk to you soon. Make it a great week. If you enjoyed listening to this podcast, you must come check out the Mindset Architect Group Coaching Program. It's our monthly program where we explore the power of your mindset, help you identify what you truly want in business and life, and then help you reach those goals. come check us out at rethinkcoaching.com/group-program. That's rethinkcoaching.com/group-program. We'll see you there.